Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For this video, I'm going to be reacting to another Tozy video, and this is TikToker gets prison for this prank, aka not a prank. So yeah, it's an updated video about this guy that like to be dumb in public, so I guess this is his reward. So let's see what happens to him, and please subscribe, let me know what else I should react to in the comments below.
This TikTok prank just sent him to prison, and it's been a long time coming, but the TikToker who deliberately poisoned the produce section at Walmart and called it a prank just got thrown in prison.
A social media influencer accused of spraying bug
I don't even understand how
Walmart, then
this came into your head.
Committing the crime online was just sentenced
to
to
be
1 year in prison.
After 6 months of court proceedings, plea deals, and a series of legal proceedings, Charles Smith, better known as Wolfie Coletti on social media,
my phone is
was
blowing
finally
up.
sentenced this week. I think it's safe to say that covering this guy's antics from day one and watching this whole situation unfold has been like watching someone slowly dig their own grave. This is, almost by definition, watching a slow train wreck finally crash. And it's been about a year since we first started covering this guy, from the moment he went viral for tossing ice into deep fryers at fast food restaurants,
and everything is evidence, so
people in public, and being an all-around burden to society for social media attention, which led to his inevitable arrest and now his sentencing. We've essentially just been covering it all, including the part of the story that landed him in some pretty hot water, as it was December 19, 2024, when Wolfie decided to film what would become, I guess, the most expensive prank of his career. The dude walked into Walmart in Arizona and grabbed a can of cockroach killer, or insecticide, and proceeded to spray it all over the produce section in the store. I mean, it really doesn't take a genius to realize spraying insecticides all over a produce section is way beyond any prank whatsoever. That's just disgusting behavior. And not only did he do that, he also left the area, leaving essentially it wide open for anyone to just buy without any
and then he's claimed he
minutes.
came back and took away everything
Poisoning people's
that he
food
sprayed.
is worth a little bit of attention on social media.
And also, he's basically shoplifting the bug spray too, because he didn't pay for that.
And obviously, he posted this video on his TikTok account, and as you can imagine,
evidence.
That's where everything started to fall apart for him, because who would have ever thought that filming yourself committing a felony and uploading it online would eventually backfire? Well, apparently not him, even though that we've covered the phenomenon of a social media influencer filming themselves committing a felony, then uploading it to the internet, then getting arrested probably hundreds of times at this point here on this channel. But still, he recorded himself again going back to the store, gathering up all the contaminated items he could find, putting them into a shopping cart, and then pushing it into some random location of the store. And with that, he claims he cleaned it up. And I mean, just from covering this guy over the past year and seeing the stuff that he's done, I realized.
But yeah, out of all the people that he covers, I feel like this is the first one to actually get like a sentencing. Like, is he actually going to prison now? And also, the guy in the Philippines, was there an update? Maybe I missed it. I don't know.
He's quite slow, but little did I know that he would actually be this stupid. The bar has just fell through the floor. It's gone. There's no possible way to lower it anymore for him. But anyway, maybe a smudge of common sense got whacked into his head when all the people started commenting, hello, FBI? So what he did then was delete those videos. And then he started defending himself by saying that because he cleaned it up, it was essentially a harmless prank. Like, dude, number one, you didn't even clean it up properly, and two,
you basically stole everything
when you created the problem,
because you didn't pay for any of that.
Like, this dude,
you just wasted all that produce.
Removing items that he remembered spraying, that would completely fix the situation. But from what we know from his online behavior, he's definitely no scientist and clearly doesn't know how contamination works. Because when you spray liquid insecticide, aka a cockroach exterminator, in a small crowded area like a grocery store, it's very easy for that poison to affect more than just the intended target. For example, the shelves and the cases that were holding the produce now have poison all over them. Groundbreaking stuff, I know. And then you have the whole other danger of kids go to Walmart, kids touch everything, kids rub their hands on the bins that's holding produce. That happens. I don't need to keep going.
Actually, kids are pretty nasty, so bug spray, kids germs. It's all the same thing.
On and on, but simply removing the
but
doesn't
yeah,
actually clean it up.
Kids touching everything is nasty too,
then
but
obviously,
not as
doesn't
bad.
even clean it up for about 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is a very long time, meaning that there's a very, very real chance in that time that somebody ended up either buying or at least interacting with that food that had already been poisoned. And again, all of this was to simply act edgy on TikTok for some internet fame. Congratulations, you played yourself, and you got banned on TikTok. But later on, court documents revealed that it was actually unknown whether he managed to collect all the contaminated items or not. So in the end, Walmart had to discard about $1,000 worth of food. And then just imagine being a Walmart worker.
Wasting all this
tired,
food.
You want to go home, and then you find out that some TikTok moron poisoned the produce section. So now you have to clean that up? No wonder creators get so much shit online, because the worst 1% of us gives everyone essentially a bad rep. But after the video went viral, Mesa police used it to track down and finally arrest him. Wolfie ended up turning himself in, admitting to the crime without hesitation, because, as you can probably imagine, there's not really too much you can do when you yourself are the one who are
checking the light,
posting video evidence onto social media for the entire
Did I mention why it's dark?
So the Maricopa County Attorney's Office ended up indicting him.
I don't remember if I mentioned why it's dark. So it's dark because I'm recording at night and the window in front of me, obviously the sun's not out, so that's why the lights. Anyway,
on multiple charges, some of which include introducing poison, a class 6 felony, and multiple misdemeanors like criminal damage and endangerment. After this incident, police started digging deeper into his background because, you know, if someone is crazy enough to spray bug spray or bug killer on
what else
food,
he do?
What else would he may have done? Well, spoiler alert, they started adding more charges because they added a third-degree burglary charge related to an incident at a Bosa Donut shop. However, the details surrounding this charge weren't publicly revealed as of right now.
Like, he is adding nothing useful to society.
Bosa Donut
like,
shops anymore.
The best thing to do is lock him out. Like,
selling point for Bosa Donuts, because Arizona
he could be a menace there, see what happens to him.
By this guy for about 1 year now. The Bosa Donut shop has essentially become the Left 4 Dead safe house before you start the mission. If you go to a Bosa Donut shop, at least you'll be safe with Wolfie Coletti. His pre-trial conference was initially scheduled for April 30th, but ended up being expedited to April 3rd. Then on April 22nd, a plea agreement had been filed with all 3 cases in Maricopa County, which initially resulted in him being set to adult probation. However, just 2 days later, something happened. Wolfie officially changed from a plea deal to now pleading guilty on all charges related to Walmart and Bosa Donuts. So we finally get to June 24th, which was sentencing day, and it was pretty easy to tell how nervous Wolfie and his legal team were about the situation, because when the judge allowed him to speak, he said this:
I'd just like to formally apologize for my actions from last year, and that I've become a better person.
Again, am I nitpicking? I don't know, but it doesn't seem like a great
I don't
idea
believe that.
to only express regret for the actions you're currently being held accountable for. Those who were in the courtroom expressed their frustration at him for not taking the opportunity to make a
Let's
broader,
see
more
after this
sincere
prison
apology.
sentence
Because in
if
an
he actually
absolute
changed.
masterclass on what not to do, there was absolutely zero acknowledgement from him on the harm of his pranks or incidents over the years. Not only that, but he didn't even bother to submit a
Like, you have a free life outside of prison. Why would you want to do something dumb just to go in there?
Pull off a little bit of damage control by saying that the client had the opportunity to reflect on what he considered to be pranks at the time, and he now understands
common sense.
these are
Even
not
kids know
pranks.
that.
What he did was not funny, and that's not how he should behave. Wow, it's absolutely crazy that you have to be like, what, 28 years old to finally figure that one out? Dude, your prefrontal cortex, it's been loaded in. Like, that thing's been there for essentially the whole time you've been doing this stuff. So there is no excuse whatsoever for what you've done. He also went on record saying that not only has Wolfie taken responsibility for his actions, but he also wants to remove himself from social media once released. Wolfie himself has also claimed that social media has definitely
see what
taken over his
happens.
brain, which made him do abnormal things.
Then Smith talked about why he makes these kinds of videos.
Social media has definitely took over my brain and made me do things that is abnormal.
I don't know how much I'm buying.
You're
it,
doing
but
stuff
clearly
that no
the dude
other
is
person
an
is doing.
attention fiend. But either
So,
way, I feel
That's
like
so
we've been
weird
saying
to
this for a
say.
while, but clout definitely is a drug. So after all the legal proceedings, statements, and this back and forth that ensued,
I guess, but
Wolfie
some
has been
people have
finally
better
sentenced
control
to
of
1
what they
year
do.
prison for the count of adding poison or harmful substances to food. That being said, he does get credited for the 136 days he's already served. So all in all, there's around 229 more days before he's released back into society. Maybe a little bit less if good behavior is involved. But prison time aside, Wolfie also received 3 years probation for the criminal damages,
I thought it was almost done.
endangerment, and third-degree burglary charges that I mentioned earlier. But it's also important to mention that those sentences run concurrently, meaning he's not serving them all at the same time. Additionally, the judge banned him from returning a Walmart in Bosa Donuts and imposed restrictions on his computer usage. I'm kind of interested in what those restrictions actually are. So he said he's not going to return to social media, but the judge might have actually made it so he can't return to social media, at least for 3 years while he's on probation. Dude's been sentenced to, if he wants to use the internet, he's forced to only use Cool Math games at his local public library.
Do not return to any Walmart. Don't return to any Bosa Donuts.
But it is worth noting that Wolfie's
Target
main
needs to be
TikTok account
like,
was deleted
don't
shortly
come
after
over
his
here.
arrest, likely due to mass reporting or just TikTok finally seeing what he did, and they were like, we don't want that on the platform. Also, probably because of all the bad PR he's bringing TikTok as well. But either way, his Instagram account is still up. But hey, I guess unlike other cases where creators face essentially no punishment for their terrible actions, like Yannick, who we just discussed, like last month or
People are
something like
dumb.
that, this time we at least saw some accountability here.
Finally.
Wolfie is finally experiencing some real consequences for his antics, which
All these dumb
almost
people
feels
need to do that.
refreshing because
Experience
honestly, we rarely see
prison
this now.
time.
How many stories have we covered of people doing absolute insane stuff and then nothing ever happens to them? And
What's
while
wrong with
a year
society?
in prison maybe doesn't sound like too much when you're potentially poisoning people with insecticides, it's still better than nothing. Now, we'll probably go a long time without talking about this guy here on the channel again, but feel free to subscribe if you're new. Drop a
Alright, that's the end of the video. But yeah, like, he's not allowed to go to Walmart. Target should be like, don't bring him over here. But yeah, finally someone that he's talked about is finally seeing consequences for their actions and not getting a slap on the wrist. Like, what's going on? Anyway, that is the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know what else I should react to in the comments below. And if you want to see my experiences in Korea, you can check out my first channel, SEKSHI. And if you want to see my other socials, it's right here under my face. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.